ba 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 da 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 ba da ba ba da 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 ba da ba ba da 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 ba da ba. Taking It Pelham 123, a 1974 hostage thriller, directed by Joseph Sargent, starring Walter Matthau, Robert Shaw, Martin Balsam, Hector Elizondo, and Jerry Stiller. Four armed gunmen, each with a specific color code name, hijack a subway car full of passengers and demand that New York City pay them $1 million in exchange for the hostages' lives. They are led, of course, by the awesome Robert Shaw, who calls himself Mr. Blue, and Transit Authority Police Officer Lieutenant Zachary Garber, played by the awesome Walter Matthau, in a very rare non-comedic role, is the only person who will negotiate with. Basically, he basically just plays the hostage negotiator. Even though that he's a transit authority cop, and the real police probably sent a negotiator, but it's a movie. But yeah, basically, most of the movie is Walter Matthau and Robert Shaw pretty much having a huge dick measuring contest over the radio. And yes, I know that kind of sounds a little weird, but it's actually pretty awesome. They're both really awesome in their roles. Hector Elizondo plays one of the thugs, a mobster, or former mobster who's barely in the bad graces of the mob, who's is basically trying in on this job for either to get out or get reputation. I don't know. And Martin Balsam plays a former subway engineer who allows them to take control of the subway car so they can manipulate it and all that stuff. While Jerry Stiller, in a small but amusing role as another transit authority cop, basically Garber's friend, and they both kind of trade some one-liners off each other. It's kind of a little pretty amusing. And there's a number of different other plots. The whole movie is kind of like in addition to being a thriller, it's also kind of a spoof of New York in a way. I won't really good way, but it's like, for example, when the cops are all surrounding the subway station where the event's happening, and they're cordoning off the area, and all of a sudden, a bunch of people start booing. And then one of the cops on the barricade looks over and without any emotion on his face just says, "Huh, it's the goddamn mayor." And there's a lot of moments like that. It's like I said, it's a very subtle spoof of New York, especially probably more relevant if you've lived back in New York back in the 70s, or even lived in New York recently. Like I said, all the actors are pretty damn good in the roles, especially Walter Matthau and Robert Shaw. Soundtrack is just a typical jazz soundtrack, nothing to write home about. I'm gonna get the job done. The director, Joseph Sargent. That's actually not his real name. He's actually French in real life. Well, and he's got a. Actually, hold on a second. I can look him up real quick. Okay, no, he's not French. He's American, but he was born Giuseppe Daniele Sargenti. So, yeah, I get why he changed his name. He's actually known for directing a lot of TV stuff. Like, he's directed a number of episodes of The Man from U.N.C.L.E. and the original Star Trek. And movie-wise, he's probably most known for directing Jaws: The Revenge, unfortunately. Yeah, I forgot about all about that. I think everyone did, because that's a movie that should be forgotten. But this is a pretty damn good movie, though. I probably it might be the best thing he's ever done. Oh, he also directed for Burt Reynolds fans. He also directed White Lightning, and he also directed a biographical film about the World War II U.S. General James MacArthur, called MacArthur, from this 1970s. That was the TV movie, I believe. I've seen that's a good movie. I might review that at some point. Other than that, though, he hasn't really directed much. Oh, yeah, and the original From Here to Eternity, he also directed that from 1953. That was his first big role. Oh, no, sorry. I'm not informed. He was an actor on that. He wasn't a director. So, yeah. White Lightning and The Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3 are probably the best movies he's ever done. And MacArthur's pretty good, too. But, anyway. So, Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3. It's... if anyone who's seen The Negotiator, with Samuel L. Jackson and Kevin Spacey, which is another awesome movie from more recent, and even more recently, Inside Man with Denzel Washington and Clive Owen. This movie, Taking a Pelham 1, 2, 3, is basically a precursor to that. Like, if you like both those movies, you really like this. There was a remake, of course. People might remember the remake with Denzel Washington and John Travolta in 2009, I believe. And James Gandolfini was in it too. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't really anything to write home about. Like, if you saw that movie and thought it wasn't anything special, give this movie a watch. Give the remake. Give the original a watch. You probably didn't even know it was a remake. But the remake is way better. The original is way better. Yeah, I can't talk today. It's late. I'm tired. Sorry about that, guys. And yeah, Walter Matthau is really known for his comedies. I admit I still have not seen The Odd Couple. I know that's it's like definitive Walter Matthau fan viewing, but I've actually seen him in a number of other like serious films. I saw him as a small role in Failsafe. I saw him in Charlie Varick and The Laughing Policeman. He's a pretty damn good actor. He does serious just as well as he does comedy, like a lot like Robin Williams did. Like, I don't know, maybe it was a very similar story where he had depression and that's he kind of used comedy as an excuse to get away from it, and then did serious roles where he kind of really proved his acting ability. Yeah. I'm trying to think of anything else to add. Like I said, if you this is a really good hostage thriller. It's not quite as bombastic as like a lot of similar movies these days, and it's not but it's still pretty fast paced. Like, there's never a point where I was bored watching it. It doesn't really feel slow. And like a lot of like tropes from like movies like The Negotiator and Inside Man are kind of like maybe not started, but like were done in a contemporary way in this movie. It actually was based on a book. I think the book is the same name. Don't quote me on that, but yes, like I said, if you like Negotiator, like Inside Man, or movies like that, definitely watch this. And like I said, this is probably one of Robert Shaw's most underrated roles. He doesn't like he's a cold bastard in this movie. If by any chance you do not know who Robert Shaw is, then well, farewell and adieu to your fair Spanish ladies. But like, seriously, if you don't know who Robert Shaw is, then shame on you, seriously. But yeah, if you're a fan of Walter Matthau, a fan of Robert Shaw, definitely watch this. If you're a fan of those other movies I mentioned before, watch this. If you're a fan of like movies made from the 1970s, this is probably one of the, aside from the obvious Star Wars, The Godfather, Apocalypse Now, this is probably one of my favorite films from the 1970s. So it's kind of a lot. This is why I'm reviewing on this show, because a lot of people don't know about this movie. So definitely check this movie out. And yep.